Hi, everyone. This is Jiawei from ISG Ventures. Welcome to the Restaking panel. And first of all, I would like everyone to introduce themselves, the project they're working on. Yep, starting from Puffer. Thank you.
Amir, one of the co-founders of Puffer Labs. We are working on the technology behind Puffer. We are the first permissionless liquid restaking platform that launched, I think, around February, our initial campaigns. We have been working on revolutionizing infrastructure on Ethereum for the past months. Our most recent breakthroughs are our pre-confirmation as an AVS, which is going to serve Puffer Unify as a based rollup with atomic composability. Thank you for having us.
Hi, I'm Angel. I'm one of the co-founders for Circuit. Just to clarify, we're not a restaking protocol. We are a ZK rollup. We are an L2, but still very excited to be invited and join this amazing panel with all the panelists. And I think since our testnet launch, we've done a lot with the LRTs and the LRSTs. Puffer and Stakestone, both are our partners, and we're very excited about this new landscape and all the new opportunities that come with it. Circuit itself, we launched our phase 1 mainnet last Monday, so we'll do more exciting stuff with our partners here, and very looking forward to today's panel.
Hi everyone, I'm Ivan, the CMO of Stakestone. So Stakestone is an omni-chain staking asset protocol. We're building the liquid ETH using the adaptive staking network. We are non-custodial, we're transparent, we're fully on-chain. And we are also we announced that we were backed by Binance Labs and OKX Ventures earlier this year as well. Thank you for having me.
Hi everyone, I'm Dorothy, CGO at Alere. Our main role in the industry is to help projects to scale. We're building verifiable rollup as a service and AVS as a service. Restake rollup is one of our innovative products that we kind of invented, leveraging restaking mechanism and decentralized setup for rollups. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you guys for the introduction. Let's jump on our very first questions. Maybe touch a little bit about the impact on the market. We know EigenLayer is the primary project of restaking, have launched the mainnet for quite a while, and many ecosystem projects launched based on EigenLayer as well. So we'd like to hear more about your perspective on the impact of restaking, maybe to the ETH price, to the liquidity, and to ecosystem developments. Yeah.
I can go. So restaking as an idea was sort of the subcategory of programmable slashing that came out. I believe EigenLayer is moving back to programmable slashing finally, but restaking was an easier way to pass the message. But the idea is extending proof of stake, extending economic security to secure other millivers, other actions on chain. This certainly is a great idea, and it has become the next exciting thing that people were excited and they opted in. There are things that are going to be changing on Ethereum, especially as you know, the more ETH is staked on Ethereum proof of stake, the lower the APR is going to go. Restaking is now another venue, or programmable slashing or proof of stake and extension is another way to gain more APR by securing other applications. So certainly it became like a great movement. However, I would like to say still it is infancy. It has its own complications. So for a market like crypto that everybody wants a turnaround of 2 days, it might be a little disappointing for now. But surely in the longer run, maybe by the end of this year, next year, we're going to see many exciting applications coming out of it, including what we also work on in terms of middleware by providing pre-confirmation AVS service. Of course, we're doing it in a more neutral manner, but it is going to empower more of even the solo stakers as well in the future. So yes, we are quite bullish on restaking.
Yeah, I guess for price impact, it's pretty obvious that restaking is like massively reducing the circulating supply of Ethereum on the market, at least. It's obviously great for price actions. Like if you're already staking your ETH, you can't sell. So if there's no sellers, we can't get lower. And then at the same time, if you're an Ethereum holder or supporter, you're getting extra yields now on your staked ETH. So it's definitely bringing new utility to the token holders and supporters. And as a roll-up on Ethereum, I think it's also making ecosystem development a little bit easier for us. So in the case of Zirkit, when we first launched, we thought about how do we bootstrap the liquidity in our ecosystem in a very fast and efficient way. And that's when we thought about working with the LRTs. And because now the LRTs have already done so much work gathering all the liquidity, and as a roll-up, we just need to work with our LRT partners, and yeah, it makes the whole liquidity bootstrapping much easier.
Yeah, I think for us, I think most of the people who actually go into DeFi, they are long-term holders of like Ethereum. So regardless of price action of Ethereum, people would still continue to stake and restake. So for us at Stakestone, we have actually we're highly adaptable, right? And we are also compatible with different consensus mechanisms. So after we restake into EigenLayer, when Symbiotic Fi actually opened its cap, we are also able to restake into Symbiotic Fi as well. So we are actually very highly adaptable to different restaking consensus mechanism, and also we are able to adapt to the times of the trend as well. So that's what Stone really is being adaptable at all times.
Yeah, I agree with everyone here. I think when market sentiment is positive, it's always important to have better capital efficiency, and using restaking is a great way to add efficiency to other ETH assets everyone is staking with other Ethereum validation program and other LST programs. However, I do think it's been overlooked on the demand side, how restaking is helping different projects to bootstrap. A lot of this is an attention economy. It's very hard to grab attention when there are hundreds of projects or thousands of projects in the market. So being part of the restaking program and being an AVS is also an easy way for newer projects to bootstrap with a large amount of economic guarantee provided by EigenLayer or other restaking programs, and at the same time also get more attention from the market. So I think restaking overall is net positive for the Ethereum community.
Yeah, thank you all for the answers. And second, let's talk a little bit about the risk. Some people believe restaking has some risks or some system risks potentially, because when you restake your ETH, you actually restake based on your existing ETH position on the beacon chain. I'm wondering, how do you think of this risk, and how do you do to minimize the risks on your protocol and for the ecosystem? Yeah.
Of course, like every extra reward is gonna have a risk. Yeah, in TradFi we have this thing of risk zero return. Even the risk zero return has a risk. So opting into more rewards means more risk. Opting into restaking means risk. At Puffer, we started by having risk in mind. We started by rolling out a fully trustless, basically restaking, meaning that the user that stakes their ETH, they don't have to trust the operator not to get slashed or go inactive. And that was our focus from the beginning. We're extending that even to the realm of restaking. Our focus is to even create anti-slashers, create a standardization around anti-slashers, around these restaking operations to reduce the risk. Now, to discuss whether it's actually like a viable massive risk in the POV of, let's say somebody doesn't use Puffer, let's say if they are a solo staker or they're just a retail staker that came about and they go to some other LRT or some other operators that they don't have the protections. Yes, it is increased risk, but sort of the picture of like, oh, restaking is sort of the doomsday application where like we're gonna slash the entire ETH supply. I think that's quite unrealistic, given that the way that the slashing is being designed on EigenLayer, Symbiotic, and other places, most likely it's going to be a committee of like slashers, which can be led by a community. So it's going to be more of like a automatic slash, like social slashing that decides like the total impact on the market. And we have seen it many times. Like, I don't know how many people remember DAO hack, but DAO hack was an example of like social consensus of recovering Ethereum, right? So I would say the sort of like, if you want to weigh in the advantages that restaking brings rather than the risks, the advantages are far beyond the risks that it brings. So therefore, it's totally worth it to do the restaking.
Yeah, I think when people are talking about the risks with restaking, just like Amir said, mostly it's about slashing. And other than that, there are probably, smart contract security risk, and then rug pull, potential team rug pull risk. So as a roll-up that partner with LRTs, on our side, we always look at the team and the smart contract, like look at the code before we integrate. And we want to make sure that, we're doing our best to make sure that our users are not using any risky restaking protocols. But I fully agree with what Amir just said. With every new thing that's in, there's always going to be risks. But I think even though we have, we call this whole thing restaking, but every protocol's approach to restaking is very different. So you also need to look them one by one, right? Not everyone's doing the same thing, and maybe some people's approach is more risky, and some others more their approach safer. So it really depends, and we can't just talk about them as a whole and say everyone's doing risky stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for anyone who is going into DeFi, there's always a risk to it, right? When you're trying to earn more returns on anything. But it also depends on each, I would say, users or stakers' risk of appetite. At StakeStone, actually, for us, we actually have 0 lockups. So, whenever you feel unsafe, feel free to take back your stake assets, or feel free to deposit anytime you want. So that is one of the key main features of StakeStone. And in terms of what we do is we actually spread the risk quite a bit, right? So we are actually compatible with different ecosystems, whether it's on Ethereum, whether it's on BNB, Chain, or also soon to be on the BTC side of things as well. We actually spread the risk of Stone and Stone BTC that's upcoming to to different consensus mechanism as well. So that's one of the ways we spread the risk, and also I think keeping the community updated and also responding in chats, in the community group chats, actually helps to reduce the risk greatly as well. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
I guess smart contract risk was mentioned, and slashing risk was mentioned. I do think slashing risk is overrated. It's a bit exaggerated. I don't think restaking has a very big impact on the security of Ethereum itself. I do think smart contract risk has been not paid enough attention to because it comes down to project level risk. You need to make sure every single project in the ecosystem is reliable, and most of the TVL or a large chunk of the TVL in the restaking ecosystem at the moment is owned by other LRT projects, which means the success or the survival of the whole ecosystem actually hinges on other LRT projects. And that is some centralization risk because you are basically having a handful of projects deciding the fate of the whole ecosystem. And each project has different approaches to how they evaluate and assess risk and how they would like to adopt different AVSs or support different restaking protocols. So I do think, and I saw some tweets on how Etherfy is going to surpass EigenLayer in TVL. Those kind of accusations or those kinds of claims would mean the restaking ecosystem would be highly dependent on the success of LRT projects, whether we like it or not.
Yep. Thank you for the answers. The third question is, some people actually say that restaking is just a game for wealth, and people the on-chain money today is very smart. They come from those protocols that don't have token yet, and they farm, they deposit, and they leave. So wondering, how do we think of this situation, and how do we think this can be changed?
I'm just going to start talking about it. We're creating a permissionless landscape. Anyone that wants to farm and leave, anyone want to stay, it's their own choice. The reason for extensive movement of money between protocol and airdrop to airdrop is the yield that we're providing on the ecosystem itself is less than just moving that money around and keep farming these tokens and dumping the tokens. Honest answer to this, right? We haven't been able to really provide an application that can keep that sticky sort of TVL, and therefore they're here and playing the games that they're doing. Long term, like I mentioned again, we have to look long term. Unfortunately, crypto has become this cycle thing that every cycle we have to see a trend, and if the trend doesn't satisfy us, we have to abandon it or switch to the next trend that gives us the highest airdrop. As we are actively seeing right now, we're oh, this ecosystem has good airdrop, let's go to it. That ecosystem has good airdrop. Realistically here, we're creating the future of the financial ecosystem, the future version of the finance. And yeah, any of these movements are expected in it. So I don't think restaking is the only sort of victim or the only avenue that these things is happening. But ultimately, once things are all settled, once we have achieved a stable version of blockchain or crypto, restaking is an amazing primitive that doesn't even exist on the real world. So ultimately, all the users would flock back into it, they would use it, and they would take advantage of it. As a whole, it's a great technology. It brings many possibilities. But yes, for opportunities of adoption, there might be folks that might be moving TVL around or they might stick at it. At the same time, to gain mindshare, to gain sort of visibility to a project, the TVL is needed. And that's why these whales or normal users are being rewarded for the risk they're taking. They're taking the risk of going to the new protocol to actually give it mindshare, give it users, give it traffic. So they should be rewarded, and they should also be able to choose where they go next. So yeah, naturally, I think it's not really a bad thing.
Yeah, I don't think I can really deny the saying that restaking is about big investors, because to some level it is very true, and it's also indeed a question that we need to think about. So as Zirkit, we've also tried to come up with ways to better reward our retail users. And we found out that, if you're a whale and you have a large amount of ETH, you're not always on chain trying out new stuff. You want to have the stable yield. And you're most of the time, your ETH is not moving anywhere. But if you're a retail, you tend to be more active on chain, trying out new stuff, trying out new ecosystem, and that's I think it's better to analyze the different like activities or like different trends among those two groups of people, and think about how to better allocate your rewards to your community. So, for example, we launched our phase 1 mainnet last Monday, and we made this phase actually capped. So each wallet address can only bridge 1 ETH over to the Zircon L2. And this phase is going to last more than a month. And by doing this, we're actually, bringing more equality to all the users for our community. And yeah, we're also coming up with like some like circuit jackpot drops to like only retails that are actually using our chain. So yeah, I think it really depends on the project and how you're utilizing all the LRTs and finding out like what could benefit more, what could be more beneficial to your ecosystem.
Yeah, so at Stakestone, we actually have around 150,000 stakers right now. So that's actually on average 1 Ethereum each for each staker. So of course, we have the whales who who put in a lot, but we also are able to reward the retail community as well. So on our Omnichain Carnival, we actually have 2 ways of participating, right? If you're a retail user and you don't really have a lot of ETH, another way you can participate is actually to do referral, and you actually earn 25% rewards. So that's one way how we incentivize like the retail community to whether it's to tweet, whether it's to promote it to their friends and family. So there's actually ways for everyone to participate, whether you're a whale or non-whale. And also, I think when it comes to staking, it's always rewarding the early sticky ETH that has been put with you for the longest. So if you have started like staking with Stakestone back during when the first big campaign that we did with Mental, till now, you probably earn as much as what a whale would put in right now already, actually. Yeah, so it's always about sticky ETH around.
Yeah, I think to a large extent, retails are kind of priced out of the airdrop game in the restaking world. It's the airdrop world has shifted from proof of work to proof of stake, and the larger whales are favored over retails. This is unfortunate, but this is the truth. But as Ivan just mentioned, there are ways for retails to still participate. For instance, EigenLayer favors long-term stakers over short-term stakers. So if you stake 0.1 ETH from the beginning of their mainnet staking program, you probably get the same eigenpoints as if you stake maybe 10 ETH, maybe 3 or 4 months later. However, I think it's always a bravery game. You have to be brave to be the early one to stake. And there were a lot of opportunities with Aether5, Renzo, Puffer. Like if you stake early, you probably have been rewarded, even though you might not be a big whale. It's unfortunate guys like Justin Sun could just stake on the last 2 days and still get the most rewards, but as a retail, we have to work around all the obstacles and figure out the most cost-effective strategy to survive. Yeah, this is becoming a tougher market to earn profits. So the retail need to be smarter and more hardworking than the whales to be more profitable.
Thank you. Besides EigenLayer, we also see many new projects in the restaking ecosystem, for example, Symbiotic, co-developed by Lido and Paradigm. And also on Bitcoin ecosystem, we see Babylon on Solana, we see Solaire So I think it's already a very complicated ecosystem in the blockchain world today. So wondering how do you envision the future landscape of restaking and how your projects can be, can play in this ecosystem? Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I'm just gonna real quick categorize these restaking projects. Yes, EigenLayer started as just restaking ETH. Ethereum validators or LSTs. I believe they're moving to become a programmable slashing, which is like they're gonna start accepting all major tokens or any token for restaking. Similarly, that's what Symbiotic is, but Symbiotic does not have the native restaking, meaning that Ethereum validators cannot participate. So there are differentiations between the two architectures, and each of them have their own applications relative to them. And each of them would have like different sort of interactions, different guarantees as well. Because I've been like saying this many times, LST restaking, if the LST asset gets slashed, the user gets hurt, but the LST protocol actually benefits from it because the supply of the LST drops and the ETH that LST is backing has increased. Anyhow, we have seen Babylon also coming to the game as well with their BTC. I believe the more assets are getting added to this basket of using as economic security is going to incentivize other protocols to also add those assets. So it's creating more competition. More competition means more sort of eyes on the industry, better products, as much as like everybody would like to call it. For example, they wanted to say, oh, Puffer is in restaking wars, whatever, these stuff. I don't see it as a war, I see it as a competition, and essentially this is like driving everyone to improve their own products and make it better. After assessing these protocols, we will see if Puffer would participate in any of these, depending on their tech stack, depending on the guarantees and the level of transparency that they have for our users. At the end of the year, we have the ultimate responsibility to our users to actually provide them the best yield with the lowest risk. So we will continue observing all of these protocols.
Yeah, I think restaking first started on Ethereum, and then it's been great to see other chains also, adopting restaking mechanisms. And then, like some, for example, like on Bitcoin, people are thinking about how to do restaking while, you still have your coins with your custody provider. And it's because like each chain has such different users, right? And such different community, and people have different demands. So it's pretty exciting for us to see. And Zirkit is definitely also looking forward to integrate more restaking protocols and assets from other chains. And we are working on that. We've already started to add restake BTC. Yeah, and then as a whole, I think it's restaking. There's pros and cons. I think it is true that the restaking protocols are like gathering all the liquidity and the on-chain liquidity. It's becoming more centralized, and being so, they're having more power and more voices, and even roll-ups like us are trying very hard to work with all the LRTs and to get the liquidity. Yeah, and I think, but the biggest problem right now is probably to think of how to better utilize all the restaked ETH or like restaked assets, because we've already done we've already enabled restaking, but now we need to think about how to better actually put the restaked assets into maybe DeFi or into other use cases.
Yeah, so at Stakestone, we are highly adaptable, right? So we are actually, we have already seen some success in the Ethereum space. We're also trying to expand what we are doing on the BNB ecosystem, and also soon to be on the BTC ecosystem as well. So just stay tuned for more updates from us on the BTC side, because that's actually coming out really soon. We have a booth outside, and actually I think more than 50% are asking us what we're doing on the BTC side. We haven't really finalized what our restaking strategy would look like, but when we do, we'll have more to announce then. Thank you.
I'd like to make a small correction. It's not Bitcoin restaking. Babylon is working on Bitcoin staking because staking doesn't even exist on Bitcoin. So they're taking on the task to solve the staking problem first. And also, they try not to call it AVSs, but what they're offering is kind of similar to EigenLayer, which is to provide new projects or new protocols a POS mechanism. And there's either Ethereum asset or Bitcoin asset backing this new protocol with economic guarantee. That's why Babylon is always put into comparison with EigenLayer. But in essence, I think they're doing different things when they design the staking side or restaking side of things. We are working very closely with both EigenLayer and Babylon, as well as other projects like Lista, Solare in different ecosystems. For us, we're more on the demand side. We build AVSs. We help projects to integrate with EigenLayer, Babylon, and other different projects to get better market share and get better security. And of course, in our opinion, this is a very early market. Everyone has their opportunity to shine. So all these projects together are making the pie bigger rather than fighting against each other. I would say Bitcoin and ETH holders or stakers are very different types of users, and also protocols being built on EigenLayer versus Babylon or even Symbiotic are actually different types of projects. So I do see the pie growing bigger, the ecosystem players growing bigger, rather than it seeing a zero-sum game. So I'm super excited.
Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, this is the end of our panel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jiawei, and our guests for the inspiring discussion. 谢谢嘉伟和我们的嘉宾们一起就 staking and restaking 做了非常深入的讨论。